Hello, I'm Richard Crump. I'm the editor of Accountancy Age and financial director, and this is Friday Afternoon Live. For those of you that bother to tune in normally, this week we're going to do it outside. Such a lovely day. We're down the Queen's Head in sunny Hammersmith. Anyway, to get down to business, the things we're going to look at today are new managing partners. BDO just appointed Paul Eagland to replace the outgoing Simon Michaels. We've got an interview I want to flag up on Accountancy Age with new R3 President Andrew Tate. We'll look at some of the things he said and just flag up some of our involvement at Accountex next week. We're going to have a stand there. Former editor and now head of editorial, Kevin Reid, will be speaking with Mark Lee about how to win awards. And finally, probably worth looking forward to Monday's coverage on Accountancy Age next week of our Young Professionals Day. So we'll go through hopefully all that fairly rapidly. Anyway, to begin with, we've got Paul Eagland taking over from Simon Michaels at BDO, and it's just worth looking at what kind of leadership he's going to bring and whether this presages a change in strategy. Probably not is the outcome. Firms very rarely seem to change strategy or tack with the appointment of new managing partners. And speaking to Eagland this week, he said, really they're going to continue to focus on their core mid-market offering. That is what they're known for, and it's done them well in the past. Interestingly, he also highlights the audit reform, the large listed audit market, PIEs, public interest entities, as an area of growth for the firm. Similarly to Michaels, he sees them picking up either non-audit work or advisory work about advising some of the more complex organisations about where their audit conflicts lie. This could be having an auditor that provides tax services, something that was previously mentioned by Michaels to us. So that just seems a bit more of a continuation. And I just think it's interesting to contrast that with somebody, say, Grant Thornton. Now, with their new managing partner who came in last year before, Sasha Romanovich, have they really changed direction as a firm? Obviously, they're doing their shared enterprise model, and she is a very outgoing managing partner and has a very different approach, she seems, to a lot of the others. But it's just interesting to know whether she is changing direction, or new managing partners just tend to keep to what they know, stick to your knitting, and that's the same all over. Now, one of our other big interviews in the past week was the Andrew Tate, who works in the restructuring practice at Kristen Reeves. He's the new president of R3, who are the trade body for insolvency practitioners, insolvency profession. Now, the key line in our interview is how R3 does not roll over against government opposition or government attempts to reform the profession. And there have been critics of the trade body in general saying they don't really represent the profession well enough in key areas, whether that's the Jackson reforms on no win, no fee exemptions, where insolvency was exempt for a short period but no longer will be, whether that's about the conflicts between employment and insolvency law that were brought up post Citygate, and other things to do with physical creditor meetings. Now, on all of these things, government has tended to win out. It's important to note R3 did get some exemptions and some concessions in the physical creditor meetings. So they have had some victories, but I think it's just indicative of how bad accountants are at lobbying. I remember working in insurance, and they're much better. Insurance always tend to get the results they want from lobbying. I just find it interesting why accountants are so bad at lobbying generally. Anyway, moving on. We've got Accountex next week. One of our intrepid reporters, Fraser Simpson, will be down there. He's going to be doing more Periscope interviews, so we all love Periscope. But he's going to be speaking to the heads of Sage, Intuit and Xero, and some others about their strategies, their approaches to cloud computing and that kind of business in the year ahead. We're also Accountancy Age Jobs, who, if you don't know who they are the Accountancy Age Jobs Board. We're going to have a stand there. So if any of you are going to be down there looking for work, looking for opportunities, do check out our stand. And finally, as I mentioned, Kevin Reid, former editor of this parish and head of editorial at Contentive, our new overlords, will be speaking with Mark Lee about how to win awards. We obviously won the British Accountancy Awards, the Business Finance Awards, and he's going to be advising you guys on how best to enter these kind of things, to win awards, win recognition and prestige within the profession, and hopefully win more clients, more fees, more business. But I'll leave Kevin to tell you about that. And finally, we have our Young Professionals Day on Monday. That is across both Accountancy Age and Financial Director. It includes the all-important 35 under 35 list of up-and-coming accountants in both business and practice. This year we've had more entries on Accountancy Age than ever before. I'm about 100. I think I've got to whittle down to 35, which is going to be no mean feat to do. So all of those that entered, Thank you very much, but sadly not all of you are going to make it. And finally, along with that, we will have other content looking about the divide between the Generation Y, millennials, and maybe some of the baby boomers that run independent accountancy practices across the country. How do you square that circle as a managing partner or as a young professional entering that firm environment? And we've also talking to some of the big luminaries of the profession, including Sasha Romanovic, who I've already mentioned, looking at mobility, the social mobility and diversity within the profession. It is still a predominantly middle-class, white, Caucasian male background, but the profession is doing great strides to try and change that. And amid that, we're going to speak to people about what they're doing to make it more inclusive and more diverse profession and to greater reflect society and the businesses you serve. That's it really. I've been Richard Crump, this is Periscope, and I might see you next week.